On est confiné intelligemment.
If you walk around Stockholm, in general, you don't have that many people out. The restaurants are not particularly packed, but they're still open, and then there's still a bit more normal life, if you will.
Les endroits où il peut y avoir un regroupement sont fermés, mais on a le droit de sortir, donc il y a quand même des gens dehors, mais je trouve que les gens respectent quand même pas mal. Je fais relativement confiance au gouvernement. L'idée paraît pas bête. Dans tous les autres pays, il y a une autre prise en charge, donc c'est vrai qu'on est un peu étonné aussi, mais par rapport à la culture néerlandaise, je trouve que le confinement intelligent est vraiment bien, dans le sens où c'est raisonné, les gens sont quand même assez respectueux. Après, c'est quand même un pari.
Has been more that we've had policies based less on restrictions and prohibitions and criminalization, and our policies have been based more on sort of voluntary participation in various practices of social distancing. In a situation like that, you search really for the deep structures, the deep culture, the deep patterns, assumptions, expectations in society. So we in Sweden become more Swedish than usual. The French become more French than before, right? We forget about being Europeans and, where we all things in common. And the difference there between Sweden and many other societies, including then France, is that it's a high trust society, right? We trust our government, we trust our institutions, our health authorities, and they in turn trust their citizens. So in France, general trust rates are about 20% of the population that say they trust other people. In Sweden and the other Nordic countries, we're talking 60-70%, right? So it's a huge difference, right? It's a very different kind of culture in that political sense. So trust implies a much larger space of freedom and to allow citizens, right, to take responsibility. They have freedom, but they have freedom under responsibility. So the expectation is that you follow, in fact, certain types of recommendations, but you do it willingly on your own, right? Without, it being a rule or being some sort of regulation that's connected with a threat of some sort, right? So that's a big difference, I think, in what we are seeing right now. The effects in daily life are not radically different, I suspect that if you and I just went around for 2 hours and we walked around the streets of Paris and streets of Stockholm, in some ways they look pretty similar, right? There's not huge crowds out there. People are not really going out too much in shops and restaurants. The problem with shutdowns is that, you can do that for a couple of weeks. But can you really lock up the entire French nation, in their apartments for a year? I'm not so sure. The question has to do with sustainability, right? How sustainable is a policy over time? Because everybody here, I think, understands that this is going to be going on for a while. We're already talking about a second wave maybe coming this fall, right? Health is important, to be sure, and we do everything we can, but it's not the only important thing. Which way is better from the point of view of health, right? Which we don't know that much about yet, right? It could be that the Swedish approach is like a sort of form of collective suicide, and by the end of the summer we'll all be dead. It might also be that it works out, just as well as any other strategy or other experiments. We really don't know. You're going to have to call me again if I'm still alive to figure that part out.